This portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Vendors at Cabbage Beach denied access to that property today for apparently leaving a dirty beach in plain sight of our visitors. And while tourism officials blame them for not keeping the area clean, the group told Janae and Noel Ferguson that's not the case.
The closure of Cabbage Beach to vendors not sitting well with those who regularly offer goods and services along the strip. Now, the gate was locked and guarded by police officers who only allowed guests on the property. President of the Cabbage Beach Vendors Association, Monique Taylor, said they were informed of the decision by Ministry of Tourism officials late Wednesday, but no reason was given. She claimed that the move was not only unlawful, but had a negative impact on business.
If we don't go to work, we can't get no sales right now. And these people have bills, these people have mortgages, these people have small children. So it impacts us because these people are providing jobs for themselves.
Now, other vendors and the association's Secretary General Randy Rowe feel those vendors were targeted.
Out of order for the Ministry of Tourism to be able to stop these people from making a living in a time such as this.
We tired of people every time they feel like coming and telling us we have to close the beach or whatever. That has to stop.
The vendors referred our news team to a Ministry of Tourism official on site who reportedly gave notice of the closure. We were at that point granted access to the beach, but vendors got into a confrontation with police as they tried to enter as well. Meanwhile, the tourism official refused to speak to us even after we resorted to getting their attention along the beachfront. According to other tourism officials, the beach was temporarily closed because of litter and debris that were allegedly left by vendors. The situation had even sparked comment from a guest. We were shown a newspaper clipping with a guest describing the deplorable state of the site, but vendors claim they do their part daily to clean up the beach.
The vendors would put their trash in the proper garbage facility, but the garbage collector who's responsible for collecting the garbage, sometimes he doesn't even come and collect it, and so that is the situation as it stands right now.
We understand that the locked gates to the Cabbage Beach were later opened late Thursday afternoon. Janae and Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
A residential dispute over the decision by one neighbor to rent her home to a group of men with histories of mental illness has some residents at each other's throats. Jared Higgs tells us more about the row that has some residents threatening to involve the Minister of Social Services.
Tempers flared among a group of residents in the neighborhood of Ghana Circle in Elizabeth Estates. The issue at hand, whether or not one neighbor should rent her house to a group of men with histories of mental illness. Judith Cartwright lives next door to the home to be rented. The grandmother of 7 says she and a group of neighbors were blindsided by the decision because initially they were told it would be an old-age home. However, less than a week ago, her neighbor of over 20 years informed her that she would rent her recently purchased home to her former Sandilands patients. Cartwright says she's scared for her family.
3 nights after she told me I couldn't sleep because there are times my husband's to work. My husband go to work 11 o'clock at night, get off 7 o'clock in the mornings. I have all these granddaughters here. Those men, when they come here, they will not be responsible for their actions.
Nurse Lindina Ramming is a psychiatric nurse at the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center and the owner of the home. She lives next door and says all the men are former patients who lead productive lives. The grandmother and longtime area resident says her neighbor's response demonstrates the negative stigma attached to persons with mental illness.
It just shows that mental illness, the myths of it, the fear of it, the lack of education in our country is so real. These people have been living in society and functioning and working on their jobs and stuff. They just broke. So all they're doing is pulling their resources together and coming to live together as one. What's wrong with that?
The neighborhood appears to be split on the issue. Sybil Butler lives across the road from Ramming and says she also thought the home would be used for the elderly, while another neighbor, Tiffany, says she thinks Nurse Ramming's heart was in the right place.
She come back again and told me that she's renting it with some men, and it's kind of it's kind of disturbing, for a lot of men, and then only her one here. Well, I'm there by myself.
I think she was just innocent, working in that field for so many years, probably a passion of hers, and wanted to do the best thing that she felt was, necessary for her to give back to people in that area.
Nurse Ramming says she fully intends to rent the home to the individuals. On the other hand, Cartwright says she and other neighbors intend to take the issue up with Minister of Social Services, the Honourable Melanie Griffin. Jared Higgs, ZNS Network News.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain. The next deadline for the filing period for value-added tax is fast approaching, and officials of the VAT Department are planning to host another series of free workshops for small business owners. The workshops are set for July 12th through 24th. Officials say the workshops are geared towards assisting quarterly filers and will focus on the cash rate and flat rate accounting schemes. Sessions will be held Mondays through Thursdays at the VAT office in the Gladstone Road Freight Terminal. There will be 2 sessions, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. The next filing period for quarterly filers is July 28, and that means registrants should file and pay on or before that date. In other business news, the ferry that operates service between Fort Lauderdale and the Bahamas is steps closer to adding Cuba to its list of ports it visits. The company Valeria received approval from the U.S. Commerce Department to operate ships between Florida and Cuba. The company also expects authorization from the U.S. Treasury Department in the coming weeks to carry passengers between the 2 neighboring nations. Valeria has been offering service between Port Everglades and Freeport on Grand Bahama Island since 2011 under the brand name Bahamas Express. And in international business news, it looks like bubble wrap is about to lose its pop. The Telegraph is reporting that its creators are launching a new, more cost-effective version which will not allow it to pop when you squeeze it. What will happen now is that the air will pass into another bubble. It's a move makers of the packaging say is designed to shrink bubble wrap so that they can attract new business. That was your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain.
The Mitchell Ekadede Brain Injury Foundation donated a $100,000 Caratron ultrasonic surgical aspirator to the Princess Margaret Hospital this week.
Now, the device is renowned for its precision in removal of brain tumors, and it's the first of its kind in the Bahamas. The foundation reached out for help after the second child in 8 months had to be referred to the United States for complex brain surgery because of the lack of equipment at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
That's where Open MRI of Nassau stepped in, making certain types of brain surgeries possible with minimal risk.
We at Open MRI decided that that would be a great thing if we could get a Cavatron, so not just that one patient that we're talking about, but many patients could benefit from it and benefit from the surgical skills of Dr. Keating. So that's how the genesis of all this, and we're happy that we're at this point today.
Donation, which is thousands and thousands of dollars to help for our people, especially in pediatric kids. These QZA can be used in any form of brain tumor or other delicate surgeries. It can cut up the time from 6 hours to 2 hours and other things that required.
And it really is a good reflection of good partnership with our civic organizations and the foundation that really appreciate that we can take this a step further.
2 days before American independence, Romaro Bay Resort and Marina reported experiencing record numbers of boaters with 100% occupancy as it docks. One of several marina business trends its general manager said bode well for Harbor Island. Among those trends, larger boats, longer stays, with yachting visitors contributing more to the Bahamian economy.